Who on earth wrote that? Okay, thank you very much, Charlie. I want to also thank all the guests, the official guests. I'd like to also acknowledge the Catapult Party and the fact that we don't have the Catapult Party, it really takes away from the service. I'd like to acknowledge the band. I'd like to acknowledge all those even upstairs who are watching this. Most important, what an apt place to have this in the centre of Surfers Paradise, in the soul of Surfers Paradise, because this is about you. Yeah, you're right. One of the things I did when I was in Queensland, I served in 25 RQR, then 42 RQR, then 2549, when they had amalgamated. My father served as well. He was medically discharged after he got smashed up. And my grandfather arrived in Gallipoli on the first day, left on the last, went to the Western Front, served there, got a DCM for bravery under fire, got a military OBE, served in the Second World War, and finished his service at Guadalcanal up against the Japanese. So 2 world wars. But you know what, ANZAC Day is not just about them and there and then. It's most definitely about us and here and now. This morning I flew up from the dawn service at the Australian War Memorial, and it was as it should be, as I'm sure it was at Currumbin. It was austere, it was precise, the cadence was exact, it was sombre, it moved people as it should. And the great pride you have in thousands upon thousands of Australians coming out in the dark for the dawn service, not to be seen, because you can't see them, to come out to commemorate, to come out because they respect what has been offered to them, what has been done on their behalf. It is one of the most powerful times as a politician where you look around and say, this is a great nation. These are a good people. This is a decent place. And that's why it's something we treasure. Now, as soon as I got to the Gold Coast, I do what people at the Gold Coast do. I put on my t-shirt, put on my swimmers, embarrassed Vicky, and went down the beach and swam. Between the flags, for some of the time. But that is it. Welcome to Australia, the egalitarian, the easygoing, a free society, democratic society. Not the formalised stratification of other places where if your family name's right, you go to the right height, or if you got the right caste, or if you went to the right university, or born to the right family, or born to the right wealth. That is not Australia. This is Australia we have, where you can progress with the social and economic stratification of life to your highest level, limited only by your innate abilities. And isn't that worth protecting? Isn't that worth fighting for? Isn't that what you see in essence, and especially in this dynamic place such as the Gold Coast? But what we see is it's not just our soil and our sea that makes our nation, it's also our ethos. And this must be protected, or it will be lost. Not just as it was in the past, but most certainly now, in the most tenuous times we've seen since the Second World War. So we must commemorate those who have served. The people who served were not born superhumans, obliged by God to serve our nation and protect us by putting their life on the line because they signed on the dotted line, as you do. They swam at that beach. They rested under your trees. They lived and live in your streets. They watched the sport like you watched the sport. They were loved and loved. They yearned for their home when they were far away. They had as many reasons to stay and not go as all of us. Yet they signed on the dotted line and off they went, and they served our nation to protect us. To protect us. To seek out and close with the enemy, kill or capture him by day or by night, regardless of season, weather or terrain. So what we see, by reason of that sacrifice, is many lost their life. About 103,000 people have their names on brass plaques, or a brass plaque down at the Australian War Memorial because they're dead. Many came home and died of their wounds. We don't really acknowledge. We had the merchant seamen. We had the people and civilians who died in a part of this tremendous battles that we've been that we have been part of. Others were maimed, both physically and mentally, disturbed. And I would see that in my own family, traumatised by what had happened to them. Some lost their families as they went away. The trials and tribulations of existing without a member of the family meant that marriages broke up, relations broke up. People came back to a form of dissolution, that people had gone. Some people came back and Australia just forgot about them, forgot they ever existed. Do you know, around Australia, about 14,000 unmarked graves. 14,000 people who served our nation, and above them rests only clay. No cross, no tombstone, nothing. They came back and were forgotten about. These people we must find. These people we must go out to the scrub and find. We must give them the dignity that we respect the service they gave. But of course, what we have to do today is understand that all the liberties and the freedoms have to be tied up to this day. It's a centrepiece of what Australia is. It is something that Australians, and you by being here, hold sacred. It is important. But even today, ladies and gentlemen, there are those who try to hijack today to get their name in lights for their own particular discordant parochial cause, who you'll see on the news tonight. There are people today, ladies and gentlemen, who are trying to, and I quote, dismantle ANZAC Day. Dismantle the sacrifice, dismantle the suffering. Within your families, ladies and gentlemen, there will be people who served. Uncles, aunties, brothers, sisters, mums, dads, sons, daughters, grandparents. And I bet for so many of you, in pride of place on your mantelpieces, you have a photo of them in their military uniform, where you say, that person is from my family. We are a family of honour. We have served our nation. For so many others, we understand that and say these people, these families, not just individuals, these families have served our nation. So ANZAC Day grows because of you. Because for the person who served, they had 3 children, and those 3 children had 3 children. And the numbers multiply. In the past, you'd see the photos of ANZAC Day, overwhelmingly returned servicemen. Overwhelmingly returned servicemen. Now, overwhelmingly, the citizens of Australia. But their connection is absolute to this day. Absolute. So I commend you that you've come out today, that you by being here have made that statement, that this day is central to you. And I ask you that when you hear those fleas who try to run down Australia Day, that is your time to stand up. That is your time to say enough. That is your time to say respect what has been given to you. The only reason you have those rights is because people from my family, from my state, from my city have served our nation. You have other days where you can protest, knock yourself out. You stay away from our day. So I say, overseas, make no mistake about it, the beauty of this nation, the beaches, the parks, the rainforests, the outback, the coal, the gas, the iron ore, the resources, the gold, the wealth, the food, the wheat, the cotton, all this. People look at us with envious eyes, make no mistake about that. I was a former deputy chair of the National Security Committee of this nation. People look at us with envious eyes. They're with envious eyes and they pose the question to themselves, what if that was ours? What if that was ours? In some of the discussions they say it's just a fluke of history that you're there. I've heard that. It's just a fluke of history that you are there. A matter of time, it would have been somewhere else. And for other countries, I said, maybe it would have been us. Understand that. Understand the precarious nature and be prepared, as these gentlemen and ladies here do today as part of the cadets, to make understanding if we don't have people who serve, we lose this nation. And as I've said before, as some look at us with eyes, look at ANZAC Day with eyes of envy, others see it through eyes of malice, to believe that there's something inordinately bad about it. Yet they never put their name on the dotted line. They never go out and serve. They never seek out and close with the enemy. No, they sit in the back room on the computer and run the show down and run the show down and run the show down. So today, make sure you go to the beach and enjoy it. Today, make sure that you go, maybe if you can, play a bit of two-up, a bit of crown and acre. Today, make sure that you spend some time with the family. Enjoy it. Have a barbecue. Enjoy your family. Today, if you want to, go to the pub, but stay away from planter boxes. Live life to the full. Live life to the full. Because people have offered and given their lives so you can. People have offered and given their lives so you can be this marvellous place like the Gold Coast and live the life that you've got. Absolutely 100%. Because it's been paid for. It's been paid for with blood. It's been paid for with suffering. But it's theirs for you to enjoy. So never forget the others. And never forget who the others are. And spend this time with a bit of contemplation. Just with a bit of contemplation. And enthuse those around you to do the same. A bit of contemplation about just what this nation is. And about just how it's paid for. And never, ever forget, lest we forget,